Most AI tutorials promise you an app and ship a website. You install nothing, you learn nothing, and you waste tokens. So today we fix that. A real application on your phone, real-time database. It works on Android and iOS, and changes are safely stored and updated instantly. Now your app idea doesn't really matter, the patterns and best practices do. So once you have this, you can point them at anything you want to build. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Beto, former developer success engineer at Expo, and I've built mobile applications for years. And I do this full time now. Here's a workflow that actually works. You're gonna need three things. First of all, download Expo Go. It's available for iOS and Android, and I have here real devices, iOS and Android. So go ahead and download Expo Go. You can just search for it, then open it. We're gonna use this for testing and developing our application. If you are using Android, do the same. You can find it in the Play Store. Okay, so this is how Expo Go looks like. Now, since we are building with an actual database, the one that I recommend you use is gonna be InstantDB. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description. InstantDB is the backend that I recommend for any application created with AI. Claude works amazingly with it, so we're gonna be using it for this video. Go ahead and sign up if you haven't already. I already created my account, so as you can see, I can go to the dashboard. And since I don't have any applications yet, this is how it looks. So you don't need to create anything yet, just leave it as it is. If this is your first time, Claude is going to create the app for us. And the last thing that you're gonna need is VS Code. So go ahead and open VS Code. If you don't have installed VS Code, or this is your first time using Claude Code, I actually made a video where I explain how to install VS Code and how to install Claude Code. So I'm gonna link that in the description. But in this video, we're going straight to work. So once you have Claude, VS Code, and Xcode, let's go ahead and create our application. Let's press on Open Folder, and I'm gonna navigate to the place where I want to create my application. In this case, it's gonna be in my desktop. Then let's press New Folder. This is the name of your app. This is just a folder, it's not the actual name. So I'm gonna call mine Do App and create this folder. This is in my desktop. Now let's press Open. And now my workspace is in here. Okay, so this is how it looks. I'm gonna close the right sidebar by pressing Option Command B. And now the next thing that I want you to do is install the Claude Code extension in VS Code. So go to Extensions. You can press this icon or press Shift Command X and then search for Claude Code. Should be the first one. This is the one verified by Anthropic. Go ahead and install it. Once you have it, you should see this icon right here on the right. In case you're using a different AI like Codex, you can also follow along. It's basically the same process. All right. This is Claude in my machine. Now we can go to the files. This folder still empty. At this point, we are ready to create the app. So let's go back to Instant. I'm gonna go back to the home page. This is the command that we are going to run to create the application. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's go back. And inside VS Code, I'm going to open a terminal by going to the terminal here in the menu bar. Once you open the terminal, we can run the command create instant app. This is very important, guys. We are building a real mobile application for iOS and Android, so we need to select the framework that we want to use. Use mobile with Expo. So use the arrows to go down and hit enter. Then select your AI. In this case, we're using Claude, but if you're using a different AI, just select it and hit enter. All right, this is going to create the code of the application. You can see it on the left. You don't need to understand it, just know that it's there and the app is now initialized, which is good. But now we need to create our actual backend and our database to store data. And Instant is actually asking us if we want to create a new application. So just hit enter. This application is actually the backend that is going to live in Instant, right? And by the way, this is completely free, so you don't need to worry about paying. It's of course with limits. If your application has millions of users, you might need to pay. But for a simple tool application, we don't need to pay, okay? So if you press tab, you can change between temporary app name, and then you can change it, or just the actual app name. I'm gonna call it Do App Video and hit enter. Okay, let's close this. Okay, so now this is installing the dependencies, but this also created a new application on Instant. where we will have our database and stuff. So if I go back to InstantDB, now if I go to my dashboard, you can see that I have my to-do app video. This is how it looks at the moment. We don't have anything. That's fine. After a moment, you can see that the project is ready to go, and we can start the server by running this command. So let's copy and paste it right here. You don't need to go anywhere else. npm run start, hit enter. This will start the server, and then we can use Expo Go to see how this looks on our application. Once you have Expo Go on your phone, on iOS, you can open your camera directly. So I have here my real phone. I'm going to scan this QR code and you'll see the open in Expo Go. This will load the application so that we can see what we're actually developing, okay? And this is the Hello World application. Cool. So let's do the same on Android. On Android, inside Expo Go, you will find a scan QR code button. So I'm gonna allow permissions and then scan the QR code, and this will load the application. All right, great. So the Hello World allows you to pick a color. So I'm gonna pick green. But the cool thing about using Instant is that we automatically get real-time functionality, and you can see that Android is updating when I press on my iPhone. And if I do the same on Android, let's press purple, iOS syncs. That's the beauty of using Instant, and the data is gonna be stored safely. Back to VS Code, the next thing that I want to do is install some Claude skills. This is very important because when you are building with Claude Code knows about everything, right? But skills are gonna help Claude to know what specific tools we're using. So you need skills for what you're doing. We are using Expo, we are using Instant, so we need skills for that. So to install skills, I actually prepared a blog that I'm gonna link in the description where you can come here and copy this command to install Build Native UI, which is a skill created by the Expo team, and this will guide Claude on creating a beautiful UI. Okay, so let's copy this command here, then go back to VS Code, and in the menu bar, let's create a new terminal. The server needs to be running, so don't touch that terminal. Create a new one. And now we have two right here. So we can toggle and see the QR code anytime that you need it. And in here, let's paste the command. I'm going to hit enter, say yes again. And this will install the skill. Make sure to select Claude Code here and hit enter. I want this at the scope level of the project, so just hit enter until it's installed. Now you can see it on the left. This is actually the skill that we just installed. This is great. Now we can actually do the same for Instant. We go to Instant, let's press the docs, and in here I'm going to search Instant skills. You can copy from here or just type it. This is the actual value. In my terminal, one command that you can run is clear to clear everything, and then we can paste the command. It's basically the same, but in this case, we're installing the InstantDB skills. Let's hit enter. Same, make sure that you are selecting Claude Code. You can toggle by pressing space, okay? Space to select. You can select multiple if you want, but just Claude Code for now. Enter, enter, enter. There we go. This will install now InstantDB skills. At this point, we are ready to start building, and Claude is going to use these skills to follow best practices. At this point, we are ready to start building. But there's a rule number one when building anything with AI. You never let the AI write code before it knows what it's building, okay? We need to create a plan first. Plans save token and plans save your time. So you can open a new instance of Claude using the extension. If you don't see the button here, you can just select any file and then you'll see the Claude button. Then you can close this, and I'm gonna close this as well. Bring the terminal down like that. So here I have Claude, but if you prefer, you can also keep it in the terminal by pressing this plus button. You can create a new terminal and then type Claude, and this will bring Claude here as well. So for now, let's use the VS Code extension. I'm going to minimize this like that. Okay, we are ready to start planning. Right here, you'll find this button that allows you to switch to plan mode. Very important. Just go ahead and select it, or you can also press the shortcut Shift Tab to toggle between modes. So right now we want plan mode. And then we want to tell Claude what we want to do. I'm gonna paste a prompt that I have here. It's not too long. Let's go through it together. I want to build a minimalistic shared to-do list. Real time, no login for now because this is a personal app just for me and my family. Any user can see, add, and check off tasks. The home screen should display a list of tasks with a checkbox. Using Expo Router, create a bottom sheet screen to add new tasks. This is just a new window when we create new tasks. Each task can have an emoji, title, optional description, status, and when it was created. So for now, don't worry about the styling too much. Notice what I'm doing right here. I don't want to waste tokens and time in this style because right now Claude is guessing how this should look like, right? But what we care right now is about the functionality, the foundation on what we want to do. That is the data that we want to manage. And of course, we want to use InstantDB to store the data and to also get the real-time functionality. So let's hit enter and Claude is going to start planning. Now, notice how specific I'm being here with Claude. This is something I cover in my book because it matters so much. Know what you want and tell Claude exactly that. Vague prompts produce vague results. After a moment, Claude comes up with the plan and we can see it on the right. Let's take a quick look. Context is going to build a minimalistic shared to-do list application on top of an existing Expo project, okay, with InstantDB. Very important. We are in the right folder. Here it is. No authentication, we specifically ask for that, but you can also include authentication with magic links using InstantDB. Just ask Claude to implement authentication and it will do it for you. It's gonna use the form sheet, everything looks correct. Now, when you are building with Claude, and this is actually that I also cover in my book, it's extremely important to spend time in the shape of the data that you want your application to handle. So right now we are just handling simple to-dos. And I ask Claude, I want to have an emoji for each to-do. I want to have a title, description, status, okay? So just know that if you want something else here, maybe you want an extra field for, I don't know, a specific number, a specific date, a specific description, just ask Claude to add it before it starts coding, okay? This is going to save you a lot of time because changes to the actual data require to change the database, require to deploy to InstantDB each time. So if you keep the data changes small, it's okay to change it frequently, but if you keep it small and really spend time on the shape of the data at the beginning, it's gonna save you a lot of time later on. Okay, so that looks good for me. Then it talks about permissions, the routes. We don't really care too much about that. Then the files that it's going to create and how it's going to verify it. So once we're happy with that, let's bring this here and I'm going to say yes and auto accept. Let's press this button and now Claude is building. Now, quick note, while Claude does its thing, most AI tutorials stop right here, and the reason for that is because the next step, actually shipping the application to the App Store, it's its own beast. Icons, certificates, app review, I went through all of it myself. And that's exactly why I wrote From Idea to App Store with Claude Code. It's the guide that I wish I had when I was figuring things out. In case you want to check it out, the link is in the description. All right, I'm gonna say yes and allow all the commands here. So Claude is gonna ask you for permissions every time, just say yes. And after a moment, Claude said that our application is ready. So let's take a look. If you are stuck on the previous screen, like I am right here on my iOS device, you can shake the device and this is going to bring the developer tools where you can press reload to start fresh. And this is good. And you might need to do this when Claude changes something. Let's press the plus and this brings the bottom sheet that looks really nice. So let's try creating one to do, but before I do that, you can also shake the Android device in case you're using Android and press refresh, same thing. So this is hello YouTube and we can add a description or just that is optional, add the task and the other phone gets the update. So let's toggle this from Android. Oops, toggle it. You can see that the other phone gets updates in real time. This is amazing. This is a real application with real native features, because the bottom sheet presentation, you can play around. It looks really nice. And you can, of course, change the emoji. Right now I need to change this manually, which is a bit awkward. Maybe we can ask Claude to change this. Let's see if I can change this for a rocket. A testing. Okay, so at this point, we are ready to actually improve the UI, right? And you could try to describe how you want the UI to look like, but I think it's better if we can just show an image to Claude. So I actually went to one of my applications that I created a long time ago. It's called Minima Task Manager. This is a free app that I have on the App Store, and I have actually the design. So in case you want to access some of the designs that I'm showing you here, you can go to Code with Beto and let me press designs. We have a list of Figma designs that you can take here, and the one that I want to use right now, it's Minima. So let's view this design. It's free, by the way, so just go to codewithbeto.dev, the link is in the description, and you can open it in Figma if you want, or just for a quick screenshot, when I just go to the components, make this bigger, you can zoom in here. So as you notice, this is just a very simple UI, but the add task looks different, right? It has the hour, if it's for today. By the way, we didn't create that field, but I think this is good inspiration for Claude. And it's actually similar to what we have so far. So I'm going to take a screenshot here for the today part. I'm gonna copy this to my clipboard and then go to Claude, Command V. Now the image is there. Let's go back. I'm gonna paste both at the same time. Let's see if Claude can handle it. Let's copy this, come here, paste it in here. Now we have these two image references, and we can ask Claude to use the images as inspiration to improve the UI. On iOS, we want a native behavior. And you can, add more things here. If you want a specific primary color, just ask Claude. So I'm gonna say, use black for the primary color, and add a nice box shadow to the check box. That should be good enough. We are passing some images. We're also adding some description. So let's hit enter. Let's see if Claude improves our UI. While Claude is actually changing the code, you can also see the changes in real time. So this is my phone, my iPhone, and as you can see, the UI is just way better. And I'm thinking that is because we, of course, attach an image, but we also have the Expo UI Claude skill, which is absolutely crazy. And I also get this liquid glass button on the top right that allows me to hide completed. It's not working yet. I think it's working, it's still working on that. But let's shake the Android. The UI definitely looks better. I like it more. But now on Android, we cannot see some items. It's cut off. Okay, so Claude said that it's done. But yeah, you can actually hide the completed now, which is really good. I can complete these two, hide them. Now hiding only works locally, but that's okay. So real-time functionality still works. We can hide completed locally only, which is okay. On Android, we can also hide completed, but this button is not working on Android. Not sure why. On iOS, we should see the animation here, by the way, and it's not animating the today title. So let's go to Claude and ask to fix that. Okay, so I'm describing all the things that are wrong, and Claude should be able to handle it. Now, a side note here, maybe at this point you should consider creating a new session. It's worth checking the context. I'll do that once Claude finishes this. But if the context is more than 50% use, I would say just go ahead and start a new session. Okay, updates are in. Let's go back to the phones and let's shake them and refresh. Make sure that we are actually seeing the latest changes. Okay, now it looks better on Android. I can hide completed. The button actually works. On iOS, I don't see the title anymore, but if I scroll, you can see that we can now see the animation looks really nice. And then plus, we have this really nice UI, and it's very close to my target, right? If you take a look at the screenshot that I shared, it actually pretty similar. And that's how you build a real-time chat application with Claude Code and InstantDB. This is a real app, not a website. And if you want to ship this to the App Store and keep adding features the right way, the book is in the description. If you want my React Native course, it's also there. If you want to keep learning how to build apps with Claude Code, join the free newsletter and Discord community. Both links are down below. I'm in the Discord every day, so if you get stuck, I'll personally help you out. And if you want to learn more about Claude skills, I made a video for that. I'll see you there.